I'm Greg Corbin, and I'm back here with the Words, Beats, and Life Alternative Spring Break, the Philly edition. And in this episode, we're gonna be talking to David Jones, who is a writer, poet, thinker, and a burgeoning financial expert. You see, he likes that smile. Yo, it's a pleasure to be here with you and talk with you. Full transparency, I mentored this young man. He's like my little brother, and I'm extremely proud of the human being he's becoming. With that being said, can you introduce who you are to the Words, Beats, and Life audience?
I guess if you want to know who I am, my name is David. My parents deliberately chose that name because King David was a king, warrior, musician, poet, songwriter, and I'm finding myself to want to be all those things. So ever since I was younger, I really loved music. Maybe I might have had ADHD or I was just bored, but I couldn't be in church without doing something. So I started playing instruments. And then from there, I started writing. I remember the first time I wrote something. I was in a hip hop dance club with Jared Barron, my first mentor. He was playing a beat that he made, a really simple beat. He's just like, we got a hook for it. And I was just like, yo, I'm gonna write a verse to this. And I had never written a verse before. Wow. And I wrote the whole song. And I was like, okay, we're doing this. And then from rap there, because I grew up in the church, a lot of the stuff I listened to were, like your Lecrae's, your Trip Lee's, your cross movements. So I found my identity very much in the faith, and that my creativity was very much linked to that. And then once I graduated from middle school and I got to high school, I went to a Catholic high school. So there's some conflict there. Cristo Rey, Philadelphia High School, Catholic high school for all faiths. I'm just like, yo, what do I write about now? Do I write about the things in the world or the things that I was taught that are in conflict with my identity? And because I didn't know what to rap about, and like, how do I rap? And then, my parents have heard me rap. How do I rap about things that make my parents proud? And I was at an impasse. Because I was at an impasse with my identity, I didn't know what to write about. And then I'm in school another year, and they have this big, gangly guy that taught at DePaul Catholic, I believe. His name's Steve Clark, one of the greatest storytellers in Philadelphia. And he introduced slam poetry to me. And he introduced subsequently PYPM, and the PYPM, the offshoot, the branch, Slam League, now just Philadelphia Slam League. And it got me involved into a new art form, which was just spoken word, no beats, less of a form, less of a rhyme pattern to fit into. Just spit, and just hearing other people being exposed to a community and also being inspired by being around a bunch of people. I was just like, okay, I can find some subject matter now. And then I just found my footing there, and then I found myself going to workshops every Saturday. The competition aspect of slam poetry helped me to grow, and it gave me things to look forward to every other Friday.
Philadelphia was the birthplace of liberty, but Philadelphia cradles the school to prison pipeline. Around the corner from my house is a juvenile detention center. 4 blocks away from that is West Philadelphia High. Can't you see the juxtaposition? Can't you see the pipeline? They label those schools underperforming, but I've been in those classrooms, and I've seen way too many teachers that care way more for keeping their jobs than doing them. So students become tutored by the streets, indoctrinated by the hood, many with dreams of becoming lawyers, but the only bar they'll ever get to pass is the door to their cell blocks.
And then Steve one day, like a year or two later, he goes, you should apply to be Youth Poet Laureate. And I'm just like, what the H-E double hockey sticks is that? But I did it, I was obedient, I did it. And then I ended up becoming, the Youth Poet Laureate of Philadelphia in 2016. And still with that position, I didn't even know what to do with it. I just found that my voice had made a way for me, and maybe my personality, maybe it helped that I was the only male that applied. Maybe it helped that I had more humor in my writing than most other people. I wrote a poem about bacon, but that poem about bacon was really a poem about not wanting to be vulnerable with people.
You talked about your influence being, Christian-based, and then going to what I believe is a Catholic high school?
Yeah, Catholic
right?
high school.
So there's somewhat of almost like a emergence and conflict at the same time with Catholic and Christianity, right? Because they're similar but different. But then at the same time, you want to be a rapper and a writer, and you're looking for a way to express yourself. And then you talked about, the Philly Youth Poetry Movement impacting you. That was PYPM. And then the offshoot was Slam League, which goes into all these different high schools, right? So you have multiple pillars that really help stand you up until you got to this place where you're the Philly Youth Poet Laureate in 2016. What was probably the most influential thing that happened to you in those developing years as a writer in your high school years?
I guess the most important thing is that I also learned is sometimes you shed things. Even if it's not necessarily your belief, but also finding out what you believe. I had moments where I wrote poems about stuff because it was culturally hot. Like, it was really hot to dump on the 45th president while he was running. And I wrote a poem about it. I was like, yeah, this is gonna get the people going. But I actually had no feelings toward the sitting president at the time.
Right.
The same, even with trauma, I'm like, yeah, gotta write this Black Power poem. It's really gonna get the people going. Maybe I did feel a sense of pride in who I am, but the reason that I wrote it was for the competition, but not necessarily to express what I wanted to express. And I've had, other coaches, shout out to Vision the Poet. It's like, Dave, not very vulnerable. And looking back at it, I want to go, shut up, right? But he was right. But you can't force that out of a boy or a man or a woman or another person. And I had to learn what I was willing to share. And I'm finding that a lot of my poetry, the stuff that I'm really proud of and the stuff that resonates with other people, is me telling the truth.
You have a poem about Philadelphia. Would you mind sharing some of it?
Yeah, for sure. I think you mentioned something. I'll touch on one of the empowering stanzas in it. Let me see. Because it centers around this idea of the trees, because Pennsylvania, Latin, Silwa means forest, and it's aspen, cedar, locust, pine, spruce, walnut, vine. All these trees give us life. Philly gives us life. This is where Benjamin Franklin discovered electricity. Tell me this ain't the city of enlightenment. Tell me the city won't live up to its name. And that's how I feel about the city.
And until that day comes, beware of the cracks in the pavement, the potholes in the street, the cracks in our Liberty Bell. The city is threatening to swallow us whole, but we'll go down with so much fire, it'll spit us back out victorious.
In 5 years, where will you be? Where do you see yourself as a writer, as an artist, and as a person?
Where do I see myself in 5 years? And as far as art goes, I'll still probably be writing, or I might have an album out. At this point, I'm mostly a poet and a writer. Everything else is really a hobby. I don't put the pressure on myself to be like, gotta make the greatest rap album. It's like, no, it's like you play the guitar now, and what comes of that will come. So I will still be doing poetry.
Right.
I'll still be working in finance. I'll still be very much plugged into the city of Philadelphia. I'll probably still be living, not with my parents, but at my childhood home. Still probably be living there. My parents will probably live somewhere outside the city. And if I'm outside, I'll still be bouncing. I'll still be on 49th and Aspen Street, still telling that same story, hoping that the story is much better than it was 3 years ago.
It's powerful. And if you had one message for the young people that are going to see this, the stakeholders, the audience that will witness this, what's the message you have for them?
Faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. Everything in our society falls apart if we don't believe in something. So to the kids, believe in yourselves. To any stakeholders, investors, teachers, believe in yourself, believe in the kids, believe in the youth. Because that's, love is the opposite of fear, and with love comes faith, and with faith comes hope. So love with your time, love with your energy, love with your attention, and love with your money if you can, because all four of those things are the same thing. So, don't be afraid to give.
Thank you so much for your time, for your wisdom, for your experience, and sharing your story with us on the Words, Beats, and Life Alternative Spring Break Philly Edition. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. Peace.